Good morning. How's everyone's day 2 going? Awesome. Welcome. I'm excited to be hosting a session today. The session is called Unleashing Clio's App Ecosystem. I am joined by Krista Hermance. I should have clarified. Is that how to say your last name correctly? Excellent. Yeah. Krista is an estate planning attorney and the owner of Hermance Law. You may also know her as on Instagram as Estate Planning Mom. Hermance Law has 13 staff across 5 offices in California, and we'll hear more about that a bit later. Krista and her staff use many Clio integrations to run their practice efficiently, freeing up their time so they can focus on giving their clients the best possible experience. Krista and her firm were also a runner-up for this year's Reisman Award for Excellence in Client Service. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I am really excited to chat with you today, Krista, to learn about how you've integrated so many other products into how your firm uses Clio, and hopefully to inspire some of you to do the same. A little bit about me. I work at Clio. I'm our senior manager of app ecosystem. So I lead our group. It's a cross-functional group of folks who work on our app directory. So if you've gone into our app directory, we have about 240 different apps that integrate with Clio. So other products that work with your Clio instance. So we have a development team and designers and product marketing and data science. And then we also work really closely on sort of the partnership and relationship side of things with all of our integrations that you see in the exhibitor hall. I've been at Clio for 6 years. I've been in 3 different roles during that time, and I've been in this role for about a year. And I'm excited to chat more with you about some of your experiences with apps in our app directory. So we have about 30 minutes together today. I'm going to kick things off with a few questions that I've prepared for Krista, and then I'm going to leave hopefully about 7 minutes at the end for questions from all of you. So make some notes if you think of something, and I'll hand things over to the audience in a few minutes. So Krista, let's start with learning just a bit more about your firm and how it's set up. Can you quickly paint us a picture of your firm and operations?
Sure. So we are in California. We have 5 offices, 14 staff actually now. It's made up of 5 attorneys and managers and staff. We have 1 main office that is where most of the staff sits. And because we do estate planning, probate trust administration, we have to print out stuff for the clients and be there for signings. We also have another location about a block away that is our marketing space, and that's where we host events that we do for staff or that we do for the community as well as for clients. And then another one of our offices about an hour away. All of the attorneys work remotely, and it's just the staff that we have in office.
Great, thanks for that.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming to figure out what software to implement in your firm. I'm sure there are a few people here who are trying to figure that out today and seeing all of the many different options available in the trade show. How did you get started with the integrations that you use with Clio?
So very early on when I was building my firm, I knew where I wanted it to be. And I knew that it wasn't just something that you can do on your own, right? The technology is out there. And that's the exciting part, especially being at a conference like this, you get to see all the tech. And so that's really what I did is I dove in and said, where do I want to be? And what's the tech that's going to get me there? And so it was really just figuring out what tech goes with Clio to be able to help in the situations that we have. A really great thing, and if you don't know this about Clio, is you can go to their app integration page on Clio to just look at all of the different apps that integrate. Like you said, there's 250, right? And that's what I did. So it's like a cheat sheet for you to figure out what will solve the problems that you have. And from there, all I did is I went through the apps and I said, here's the problem that I have. Let's find a solution. And I tested them. I did free trials. I did the demos. And I found some that didn't work for us, right? I spent, if we all are going to spend some money on things that don't work out, but don't feel compelled to continue using it if it doesn't work for you, right? I give you permission right now. stop using it if it doesn't work for you. If your staff hates it and it doesn't provide efficiencies for them, you do not have to continue using it. There is something that you're going to be able to find that is going to work to make your law firm run efficiently.
I think that's such great advice, that like sunk cost fallacy, like, oh, we've spent so much time and money implementing this, we better keep using it even though it makes our lives worse.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes
because you're invested
Yeah.
from a time perspective and a money perspective. But if it doesn't work for you and it literally just eats at you, just move on, right? You're gonna get this feeling of like, okay, we're gonna find something else.
Yeah, and there's probably something better out there that's going to fit your needs.
Exactly.
I'd love to learn a bit more about your philosophy when it comes to software and integrations with Clio. Like, in what circumstances do you identify a problem that you decide to try to solve with technology?
So I take a lot of feedback from our staff, and I'll see errors or issues. And from there, it identifies a problem. And as well as how can we do things better, right? How can we do things where it's more automated, especially if it's a task that I do not need somebody to wait for this to come in and then email. It's finding those things in your firm, and you have to get very granular, right? You have to look at those in very specific details. So once you find those and you identify it, then it's looking for the solution from a tech perspective on where you want to go, because that's always with the end in mind. Right? Is how is this going to fit in? And I mean, don't get tech for just getting tech's sake. Have a plan of how it's going to get used. Figure out all of the things that it does, because I bet there's a lot of people in here that have Clio that don't know all of the things that it can do. And you're like, oh, I have a tech that does that, but Clio's already doing it, right? And so then you're spending money that you don't need to spend, right? But there are a lot of other integrations, and we use a lot. I think I counted, we're at 11 right now. We use 11 integrations with Clio. And it's finding those ones that will solve those problems. Because like one issue that we had specifically is we do estate planning. And so it's transferring the house into their trust. And so we had to create deeds. And so what I found is that there were errors being made on these deeds because they were manually inputted. And so then we use the Clio document feature that creates the document. We put the deeds in there, we put the PCOR in there, and then taught the staff how to use it. And then guess what? The errors went away because they weren't having to manually input the information by keying numbers wrong or keying addresses wrong. It was just derived from this document. And that provides better client experience because now we don't have to re-record their deeds or they don't have to re-sign documents, right? So it's all just fitting into what your vision is for your practice.
Saves a ton of time and money when you're not correcting errors. You can spend time on way more valuable things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's such great advice too about making sure that you also, before maybe going out and figuring out what integrations to add, like really understand what Clio can do for you. So quick plug for the Customer Success Center. That's a great place to go to maybe identify, like, I have this problem. Can Clio solve it in some way? Mm-hmm. But once you've done that and you're ready to go find other solutions for maybe some more unique problems that your firm has, tell us a bit more about what are the integrations that you're using now.
Okay. So is everybody writing down? Because there's a lot. So I'm going to go from the start of our process to the end, because that's how I can remember all of the integrations that we use. And so just real quick with my firm. So I have a marketing side and then I have the law firm side. The marketing side is really where the leads come in. And that's a big part of how we're using the integrations to automate things and follow-ups, as well as, people coming in from various parts. And then there's the law firm side. So it's once they sign up and become a client, then they kind of move to this law firm side. So in the beginning, I'm going to start with Clio Grow. I've used Clio Grow since it was Clio Grow. We had it before when it was Lexicata, and it's an integral part of our business from a leads perspective. So with Clio Grow, it just has so many capabilities, from your website, being able to take customer client information that's coming in, where they put that in and it automatically pops up in your leads in Clio Grow. And from there, my sales intake team can then immediately contact that person, right? We don't want people having to wait because they're going to move on to the next attorney, right? So it's this very fast process. We also use Clio Grow for being able to use the drip campaigns, right? So when they have a consult or they come in, if we haven't heard from them, we're sending them emails in a specific drip campaign that was set up. We are also using it to set tasks on when to follow up with people, as well as notes on where they came in from. Clio Grow is great for tracking where your leads come from, who are sending you business, where are the referrals coming in. I pull reports every week to figure out who is sending us business or where are people finding us, right? It's important if you don't know that from a marketing perspective, you don't know how to find the clients, right? So whatever is working, do more of that. Okay, so from there, once they come into our pipeline and they're now meeting with attorney, they're ready to get started, we do our client worksheet, right? So it's great because a lot of our clients are younger, they're tech savvy, they want that tech. And so they can just go online and complete the online worksheet. They can submit it, so then it goes directly to our attorneys. The other thing is the legal service agreement, right? That's another part of Clio Grow where they're going to go in, our staff is going to fill it out. They're going to send it to them. They can e-sign it. Then it comes back. And now they've been onboarded, right? Now they get moved from Clio Grow and they get synced into Clio Manage as a matter. And that kind of is what the pass off is from the marketing team to the law firm side. Other integrations from the start, we use Haymarket for texting. I like Haymarket because it has templates, which is a really big thing because before, again, it's finding a problem and figuring out how do we make it better. And what my staff was doing is they had a Word document and they were just copying and pasting text messages that go to clients every day, right? Depending on if it's a consult or they're meeting with an attorney or they're doing a signing. And so I liked Haymarket because it has templates. And so they're literally just being able to choose, this is the one that goes, and it makes it so much faster for them. It also integrates with Clio. And so any messages that go out are then getting put into that matter so that we can see what are the communications that are happening with the clients. Okay. Next is once they come to Clio Manage, we have legal boards. So legal boards is an integration. If you're familiar with Trello, I kind of think of it as Trello. I am very visual. And the problem that I found is I wasn't able to see all of the cases. And I wasn't able to see where they were at in the pipeline. And one of our biggest drivers is the client experience, right? We're trying to provide an exceptional client experience. I don't want anybody getting left behind. So what I found with legal boards is that it integrates with Clio Manage. And so when in that onboarding process, when a matter comes in, we're going to take it from there and it's going to get put on the legal boards. And what legal boards allows my team to do is have the ability to take this matter and just move it down the pipeline, right? And so it's this visual to see where are all the cases at. This one's still waiting to get signed. This one's waiting to get paid. Okay, this one's ready to start getting drafted. So it's going to send an email to the attorney saying the client has paid and signed the agreement, start drafting it, right? So it allows you all these capabilities to run efficiently to make sure that your cases aren't getting forgotten. And they just had the new one, I think they announced it yesterday, where now there's like a tab in Clio Manage that allows you to see the matter in legal boards, what the tasks that are going on in legal boards from Clio Manage, which I think is a really great feature that was just added.
I was just going to ask you if you checked it out yet.
I did. Yeah. They sent it to me
Awesome.
in an email saying, hey, have you seen this? And I went and looked it out. So, I mean, it's a great way. Again, you don't want to have tech just for having it. You want every technology that you have to have a purpose, right? It should make things easier, not harder for your team, right? It should provide efficiencies. Okay, so I think we've talked about two. So other ones that we integrate with QuickBooks, right? So my accounting team and everything that they do, that makes it just so much easier from that aspect. In Clio Manage, we use the documents. So like I said, that deed software that we use, any documents that you have that you are just templates, right? You can put them in Clio so that it automates from a custom fields perspective to be able to bring that in. We also do estate planning. And so there's an integration with Wealth Counsel, which is our estate planning software. And that was a really great feature. So anything that you do from your your perspective of law, see if that software integrates with Clio, because there's 250, so it's a good chance it does, that it's going to make easier for you or your staff. Because what I found is once we started doing that, is all of the information was in Clio. And so it just synced, which meant that it was less time that our team had to go and add people in separately, right? So again, it's saving time and making sure that there's not as many errors, right? Users just putting things in and spelling names wrong. You probably have the list of ones that I do.
We're getting there. Do you want another one?
Sure, give me another one.
CallRail.
So CallRail was something that we actually just started using about 6 months ago. They're here. I was chatting with them yesterday. One of my big things was moving into Google local service ads, right? So if you do ads on Google, CallRail was so important because it allows us to actually listen to the calls and figure out, is it a good lead or is it a bad lead? In which case we can dispute it with Google. And so then it was, okay, well, CallRail integrates with Clio. And so now we have those calls that are coming in automatically getting put into Clio. So that was another really great one that I didn't even know, but it was something that we needed for the business.
Yeah, a really recent addition to our app directory.
Okay.
Building on that, you use Google My Business.
Oh, yeah. So we have 5 locations, two offices, and the rest are virtual. So it's a strategy, right? From a marketing perspective. We have more that are getting opened in early 2023. And for each location that we have a Google My Business page. And I can talk marketing and from a whole nother side, but yes, that does integrate with Clio.
Cool. On the Microsoft side, Teams and Outlook.
Yeah. So if you use Outlook, you have to get the add-on for Clio because it saves me so much time. I also do some billable hourly work, and I love the timer feature in Outlook because what I found is that if I didn't have it on and I wasn't using it, I was basically just doing work for free, right? Because I wasn't tracking my time. I didn't go back into the case and add it into Clio to get it. So using that Clio add-on in Outlook allows you to file the email when the case that you want it, as well as add time from Outlook so that when you send the email, it just automatically sends it to Clio. We are Microsoft 365 users in my firm. So for us, it was, what does Microsoft have? And a lot of it integrates with Clio. So Teams, that like the announcement last year, like that was huge for us because we were already using Teams. And so the ability now for Clio to be able to send matters into Teams allows, because all of our attorneys are virtual, it allows the attorneys to talk with the staff in the office about each matter within Teams. So that was a really great feature because, that's how we communicate, right? We use Teams for team huddles in the morning. Every morning, the staff meets there. And then just having the capabilities to be able to have that side. And then the Launcher app, which is where Clio, the docs, right? That is going to pull and create documents using Microsoft Word.
I think Teams was something we built like early on in the pandemic when we realized like everyone's gonna be working from home and using way more of these sort of remote collaboration products. Another integration that we launched during the early part of the pandemic was Zoom.
Yeah. So we use a mixture of Zoom and Teams. So I personally use Zooms, my team, because I pay for Microsoft. Again, don't pay for what you don't need. All of my attorneys will actually meet with clients via Teams. And so it made sense because clients, if you did not know this, and it took some research, you don't actually have to be a Microsoft user to log into a Teams meeting. So if you're already paying for Microsoft, you have the capability to meet with clients using Teams. But then, the feature with Zoom, like I do webinars a lot. And so having that capability of using Zoom or meeting with clients or referral partners, for virtual coffee and things like that, it's such a great feature.
And I think the only thing we haven't talked about yet is Clio Payments.
Oh, Clio Payments. So Clio Payments is a newer one for us. Early on, it didn't fit because I think there was just some things that it didn't have the capabilities that we needed. But since payment plans were created on that one, it's a game changer for our clients to be able to have those automated payment plans set up. For for any client that has to pay, you're doing a disservice to your staff if you're having them have to contact the client every month to make that payment, right? Utilize the tech to get those automatically set up, which is going to save time for your staff, as well as make sure that that money is coming in.
I think that's the full list. Okay. Thank you for the rundown. Yeah. What's been the biggest surprise when it comes to using integrations in your firm?
I think it's when I get the idea in my head, it goes a lot smoother of how it's going to roll out. And so, and what I've learned is it's not turning on a light switch, right? Especially when you have a team, I understand it, but they don't understand it. And so then it's making sure that they, one, learn it, and two, are using it. The other thing is it doesn't happen fast. And so again, it's in my mind, I can have it working. But in all reality, generally it takes 1 to 3 months to get things onboarded. We recently just did a phone change from one service provider to another, and I was paying 2 phone services for 3 months as we continued to change to this new one, because I didn't want to just turn it off and not have phones ringing, right? We didn't have capabilities. And so I had to pay extra money for both while that was in transition. So it's something else to think about. Just know that it's going to take time. It's not going to work right away. And don't stop using it because it's not working the way you want. You have to tweak it and just get it right? It takes time, but it's going to make things easier.
You've commented a bit on it takes time. It's going to be a process. Yeah. You can't just flip a switch. You might have 3 months implementation time. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the audience who are like, oh my gosh, this sounds expensive and time consuming, but tell us, is it worth it?
I absolutely think it's worth it. Again, you might pay money up front, right, to be able to implement it, but just think of what that's going to do once it works, right? How is it going to save your team time? How is it going to automate things? So maybe you don't need as many people as you think because you have these automations that are working in the background. I know a lot of times, depending on your staff, if you've had people that have been with you for a while, or maybe you inherited a law firm where the staff is not susceptible to change and they do not want to use this new tech that's coming out, is you have to force them, right? Here's the process. And it's just getting them in the training, getting them comfortable, because what I found is people don't like change, right? It's not something that they're used to. It's not that secondhand. So it's continuing to say, this is the process. I've talked to people before where they'll say, well, my staff just won't use it. I'm like, well, you have to implement it, right? It's just something, and you check in and you continue checking in and make sure that they're using it and that they're using it correctly. That is the one thing, is I'm always trying to get feedback from my team is, how is this working? Because unless they tell me, I have no idea that something needs to be fixed. So ask the question, ask your team, figure out what needs to be done. What isn't working for you? Because maybe it's just they don't know how to do this one thing, and I know how to do it, but I didn't know it was a problem for them. So ask the question.
Yeah, I mean, adopting new technology requires change management. Mm-hmm. Even at a company like Clio, where we're building technology, we're super familiar with technology. We still, when we introduce new software to our business, go through a full change management training session so you can come and ask questions or complain or learn more or whatever. And recognizing we need to kind of meet people where they're at and bring them along if we're going to bring new technology or new software into our business processes and operations. My final question for you, and then I'm going to hand it over to our audience, is what advice do you have for anyone here thinking about adopting new technology and integrations with Clio?
So take advantage while you are here to go downstairs, somewhere over there, and meet the vendors. See what the software does. Identify where you're having problems or where you want to go and talk to them. This is the best opportunity. This is why I love Clio, because I get to see all the tech, right? Do I need it? Everything can always get better. But it's a great opportunity for you to get involved in it. So that's my first thing, is go see the vendors. And then go to the app integration page on Clio to see the list of 250, figure out where you're having problems and what technology will work. The biggest thing with any tech is you want it to all work together. right? Because if it doesn't work together, then it's going to make more work. If it works together, there's automations that can happen. And that's a really big part of being able to run a law firm efficiently, is having those integrations that work together.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of our integration partners have free trials, or some of them have put up promotions, particularly to this time at ClioCon. So those are all visible in the app directory as well.
I think that's where a lot of mine that I started with, I found them at Clio, and they had like a free month trial or a 3-month trial, right? And it's because, if it's like a week, I'm like, I'm not going to get to it. It's not going to happen from a time perspective. I need a little bit of time to be able to run some cases through it and see how it's going to work. And then from there, if I like it, then it's like, okay, let's move forward.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Cool. What questions does our audience have? Yes.
Excuse me, I didn't catch the name of the deed software you use.
It's not a deed software. So it's Clio Launcher, the document. And so I took a deed that we use and as a template, put it in there with custom fields so that we just fill in the custom fields in Clio Manage, and it creates the document.
So for those who didn't hear the question, it was about when Krista was speaking about using software for creating deeds. And any other questions? Yes, at the back in the white shirt. You can holler and I will try to repeat your question. Oh, we've got a mic. Oh, perfect. Go for it.
But I think I just jumped the queue.
That's right.
I was hoping you could talk a little bit about where you started, if you picked one integration and worked from there, or if you worked with somebody to help you get kind of a holistic picture of what you needed or what that process was like.
I don't need to repeat the question because she had a mic. So, yeah. So I started on my own. I was a solo, and I learned all the tech, right? I mean, I literally built my website from the ground up, and now I have a company that does it for me. So I was involved in everything. I mean, even to this day, I know how everything works. I've set it all up. And it's just a matter of when you're starting, what's the problem that you have? How can you, because you only have so much time in your day. So it's figuring out first, what is the technology that's going to give me back more time? When I was a solo, that was what was really important to me, because I couldn't do it all. I needed there to be automations and efficiencies. And then as my team continued to grow, it was, okay, what now tech do I need to be able to manage all of the team members and to manage their workflow and to manage what they're doing? So start small, figure out, if you're a solo, what's the problem I'm having right now that the tech can solve? Go find that tech and just kind of build from there.
Another question? Thank you for running around with the mic.
Good morning. I find, have you found an app that integrates that can make calendaring less cumbersome, where you can enter a date in maybe one time and it populates wherever you need it to populate? For example, I have to enter in a calendar date in the Clio calendar and then enter it into my Outlook calendar, and then enter it on other trigger calendars within Clio, enter it in the custom fields. And so having to enter that same date several times can be cumbersome to the point where people don't enter the dates in at all.
Yeah.
So have you found a way to seamlessly integrate maybe Outlook or some other calendaring function so that you enter it once and it populates wherever you need to?
So from the custom field perspective, I don't know of an integration that will do that. But when we enter like signing appointments into Clio Manage, we have Outlook synced. So it will sync them to our calendars, right? Whoever's involved, whoever the attendees are, they go onto our Outlook calendars. I would look at Zapier. So we use Zapier. So anything that I needed to go somewhere else, we can create those zaps that are going to create some kind of other action. And I attended one yesterday on that, but that might be an option for you.
Yeah. Just to double down on that, there is that sync with Outlook, and the Customer Success Center would also give you some support in setting that up so that you don't have to do that double entry. Where are we next?
It's not a question. I would refer you to AppToto. AppToto.
Is there another question? There we go in the back.
I think this question is more for Ainsley. Is there, because I'm assuming that these app integrations continue to improve as time goes on, or maybe new integrations get added. What is the best way for Clio users to learn about the upgrades and the new additions to the app directory?
That's a great question, and probably something we can do a better job of. We have new integrations being added all the time. There's a category in the app directory called new and noteworthy, so they always get added there. So if you're ever curious if something new is there that you should check out the new and noteworthy category on the app directory. But, I think the latter part of your question is really interesting, like some of the updates that our app integrators do to their products and how we share that with our customers. And I'm going to take that away as a really good idea that I'd like to look at. And I think we can do a better job of sharing some of those updates when it pertains to maybe a product that you're not already using. Mm-hmm. If you, for example, are Legal Boards this year, if Legal Boards does an update and you're already a Legal Boards customer, they're probably going to tell you about that.
They do. Yeah.
But if you're not yet a Legal Boards customer, maybe you looked at it previously and it didn't do exactly what you needed, you might be interested to know when they add some functionality that then it meets your needs. So I'll look into some ways that we can get better at communicating that. Thank you. Last question, I think.
Right here.
Thank you. These lights are so bright.
For the less creative and less technical law firm people, do you have anything like vignettes that you could do that can sort of show us what potentially we could do? For example, if the speakers had a vignette for all of what she talked about and showing how she transferred documents from one platform to another and how she used the interface with their clients and using integrated apps. Because just looking at something that says Toto or something that says Zapier, we may not be able to formulate a how to use that within our practice. But if we saw some vignette where people were using it within their practice, then that may spark creativity in us. Is there a resource already for that, like some videos on people using it in their practice?
So I, for the docu one specifically, I knew how to do it. I didn't have the time. And so I hired a company to actually go in and put the documents in for me, just because I just didn't have the time to do it. So there are companies, I think Streamline Legal is here, right? Yep. And they help with that, the integrations and stuff, to be able to set things up for you. You're going to pay money up front, but then at least it's done correctly, because that's where I find it is people don't use the tech correctly. And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm not going to use it and it sucked. And it's like, no, you didn't set it up correctly in the first place. That's why it wasn't working.
Yeah. And I think maybe if your question was also just about in advance trying to figure out how might someone use this, was that part of your question as well? A lot of our integration partners also have videos posted, demo videos, either on their app directory listing for on Clio's app directory or on their website. So I think just checking it out, a lot of them have recorded actually sometimes quite lengthy videos. So you can actually see them going through some real processes, jumping back and forth maybe between Clio and that product, so you can get a sense of how it works and if it might solve the problem that you have.
YouTube is another one that I've researched so many videos on how are they using it to see the functionality before I actually start doing demos.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Krista. And thanks everyone for coming. Enjoy the rest of ClioCon.
Thank you.